Now, I regularly talk about using blueprints to speed up your whole website development process, but it kind of occurred to me you may not know how to do this for yourself. So in this video, I want to break it down into its simple components and show you how you can set one up for yourself. Now, obviously, you're going to use completely different tools to me probably, but once you understand the process and the benefits of it, it's very easy to do. So let's start off by taking a look at where we're going to actually store our blueprint. For this video, I'm going to be using InstaWP to actually set up and create and store my blueprint website. However, you can use whatever you want. You could set this up by using something like Local by Flywheel. You could use your hosting account. Whatever allows you to very easily clone an existing website and then deploy it is going to be a perfect platform to use it. Logged into my account, and we're just going to simply create a plain old vanilla copy of WordPress. So we'll add new. I'll just say next step, create the site. There's my site created. So there's the basic starting point for our blueprint. So what we're going to do is, first of all, make our life easy. Let's rename this. We'll save it, and we're done. Just means I can easily identify what's going on here. I can also add a tag if I want. So we'll say blueprint. Okay, so that being said, let's go and simply log in. So we now have a clean copy of WordPress ready to use our blueprint site. So let's clean this up and get rid of some of the junk that we don't actually want. Let's just close this down and just get rid of all the crap. Now we have a nice clean dashboard. Next, we want to make sure that we've got any of the settings we need to configure inside WordPress itself all set up. To do that, let's first of all come into the settings, into general. Let's change the name of this. Again, we'll call it test blueprint. Everything else looks okay, so we'll save our changes. Hop into reading, and if we want to change anything inside here, we can do. At the moment, we don't have any pages to reference, but we'll change that in a moment. Discussion, I don't want things like attempting to contact blogs and so on, so we'll just change those values inside there. And you effectively just go through and set everything up the way that you want it. Finally, what we're going to do is go to permalinks, make sure post name is set correctly, come into media, change the values inside here. 150 for the thumbnail is fine. You may or may not want to use medium size and large size. However, I think these are probably a little bit too small, so let's just increase these. At the end of the day, it is 2025. So we'll do this 1920 by 1080. And we don't want to organize our files into folders with year and so on. It gets really frustrating trying to find anything. So we'll hit save changes and we've customized that side of things. Privacy, again, if you want to make changes inside here, you can do. Let's come into posts. Let's get rid of hello world. We don't want any of this guff inside here. Move that to the bin. There we go, and empty our bin. Go to our pages. Do the same here, get rid of these. So we've gone through now and we've set everything up. We've taken out any junk we don't want. So the first thing we want to do is start adding in the tools that we want to use. So first of all, I use bricks, but you could use whatever you want. If you just want to use native Gutenberg, you want to use Divi, Elementor, whatever you want to use. It makes no difference. Just go and install it. You then take a little bit of time to go through and set up exactly how you want bricks to operate. I'm not going to do that because obviously this is specific to me. You set it up the way that you want. Set all your values and so on inside there. I'm also going to come back into appearance and themes. We'll add a new theme one more time. Upload, choose our file, and this time we're going to use the bricks child theme. This means if we want to make any code changes to the actual theme itself or anything like that, we don't have to worry about affecting our main theme. So we'll click activate. And everything is exactly the same as it was. If we come into our appearance one more time, into our themes, let's get rid of this 2025. We don't want that. Before we move on, let's take a moment to have a message from today's video sponsor, Omnisend. Now, if you're looking for a solid email marketing platform for your e-commerce store, look no further than Omnisend. Getting started is an absolute breeze. They offer some of the most affordable pricing on the market, and you can start with their free plan and experience premium features without spending a penny. It's the best quality to cost ratio you'll find anywhere. If you need help, rest assured, with Omnisend's award-winning customer support, you're always a priority. It's available 24/7, 365 days a year, and you'll get a response in less than 3 minutes, making you feel valued and important. Now, don't just take my word for it. Omnisend is a top-rated platform. With unbeatable pricing, powerful features, and exceptional support, the reviews speak for themselves. If you're ready to elevate your email marketing game, Omnisend is here to help. You could try Omnisend today and discover why they're the best choice for your e-commerce business. With unbeatable pricing, powerful features, and exceptional support. Link in the description down below. Next up, we're going to come into our plugins, add a new plugin, and I use Core Framework. So what we're going to do is we're going to go install Core Framework. We'll install it. I use the bricks plugin then to go alongside it. So once we've set this up, we'll activate core framework. We'll pop into core framework itself. We'll leave it set to full and click on continue. We're going to override that in a moment anyway. If you're using Gutenberg, you can enable it from here and have the Gutenberg plugin installed. It's up to you if you want to use it. I use the bricks add-on, so I've already got that. I can drop in my license key at this point. There we go. That's activated. Click on continue. Leave the settings inside here because, again, like I said, we're going to override those with my default settings. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come into manage project. From there, I'm going to choose to browse for file. I've got a setup with all the options that I want. So I'm going to click to import, override all of that. So that's now pulling in all my values, my custom values and so on. Hit save changes, and that's now being configured. From here, what I tend to do is I'll come into preferences, and in here you can see we've got options for all the different aspects, like which is the default theme, whether we want to use 62.5% and so on, or 100% for the root font size, your minimum and maximum screen widths. So if, for example, you might want to change this inside here, we'll say it's 1400 for example. Configure what you need inside here, set everything up, hit save changes, and you are pretty much done here. If we come into things like, for example, into spacing, we scroll down, you can see I've created custom spacing classes. If we come into layout, I've got custom variables. These are things that I use in my design, so it's easier for me to pull those in. But because we're creating a blueprint site, we can just spin up a site with all these things in place. So now we've got our basic CSS in place with our core framework. Next thing, we're going to come into bricks, open up template. It doesn't really matter what you open up. I'm going to add a new template. We'll call this our default header template and set this to be our header. Click publish and edit this with bricks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come over into our settings, into our theme styles. No theme styles found yet. We need to create one. So we're going to click on plus. We'll give it a name. We'll call it default styles. Click on create. Come into conditions, make sure our entire website is selected. And now what we can do is we can set up the basic values we want to use inside our theme style. For example, if we come into colors, you can see is our primary, secondary, light, and so on. I've already created the majority of these inside my core framework. So all I need to do now is click on this color. There's my primary color. Click on secondary, choose my secondary color. Light color, for example. Dark color. You kind of get the idea. You can also go through and set things up. If we come down and find the element section, we can control the size of these different sections. So you can see inside there we go width 100%. That's fine in this example. Come into container. You can see that's set to 1100 pixels, which is not what we want. So what we're going to do is we'll start typing in max. You can see max screen width. That's the variable that sets the maximum width inside core framework. Like we just set that to 1400. So by putting that inside here, you can see we can control the values inside here as well. So what you do now is you would go through all the different elements inside here, pair those up with the variables that you want to use from core framework, or if you want to put arbitrary values in, if you're not using a framework like core framework, then you can do that as well. Once you've done it, you've got those set up as part of your blueprint. So every time you spin up your site, all of these things will be connected up to your framework, or will have the values that you want to set inside there. It takes a little bit of time, but you only got to do it one time, and then you can just easily have one centralized location to change those colors, and everything reflects those color changes throughout your entire design. It's super quick and easy, incredibly powerful. So once that's done, we'll click save and say we're happy with that side of things. Now, if you're getting value from this video, why not take a moment to hit that thumbs up button and just let YouTube know that you like this kind of content. However, if you're not enjoying it, well, you can hit the thumbs down button twice, as that seems to work pretty well too. Anyway, let's get back on with the video. Next up, I want to put some organization into place, and to do that, we're going to use Happy Files Pro. So like we did before, let's add our new plugin in, let's install it, and activate. Okay, so we now have the ability to organize things, but the reality is we're just going to use this to organize not only our media, but also our posts, pages, templates, those kinds of things. It allows us to organize any kind of content we want. It's pretty cool. You can see we can choose where we want to have this available. So we'll say posts, pages, custom fonts, my templates. If you want to organize your plugins, you can do as well. So I'm going to configure this the way that I like it. Hit save changes. And now we have basically everything we need. So if we come into, for example, into bricks and come into our templates, you'll see we now have this new section on the left-hand side. So what I tend to do is I'll create templates for my header, my footer, my home page, my login pages, my 404 page, my search results page, and so on. Create those templates, and then you can organize them inside here using the method I'm going to show you. So what we need to do is going to click on plus. We'll call this front end, for example. Click on create a new folder, click on create. And then, for example, where we've got this header template, we can simply drag that down to the layout. And you can see that now starts to organize things. So we can easily organize our content into very easy defined sections on our site. So to create any more templates, you can simply come in and create those templates, populate them, do what you want with them. I would recommend doing that because it's better to start off with your header and footer in place and the basic template pieces, and then just customize or tweak them should you need to on a project by project basis. Things like 404 pages, search result pages, and so on, you're probably going to find they're going to be the same layouts throughout unless you've got a very specific requirement. Just gives you more granular control over everything. Now, if we hop into media, you can see we've got the same set of options here. All files uncategorized, and then places to put our own custom folders. So let's do that. Let's create a new folder. We're going to call this UI elements. So things like your logo, any icons you may use for navigation and so on, having those inside here is super useful. We're going to create another one. We're going to call this placeholders. Placeholders is basically when you have those templates we've just been talking about, you may want to have images like a logo. It could be a Lorem Ipsum logo, could be anything you want. It's good to have those inside the placeholders folder because then you can delete that entire folder and all its contents without having any impact on the live site because they're going to be removed and replaced with their live counterparts. So I have placeholder, UI elements, and then I'll organize other things the way that I want them to be organized throughout my overall sort of setup structure. So if I have, for example, we've got blog, I'll have it broken down into the year, and there may be the month inside there. And then, you can organize things as you want. The beauty of using something like Happy Files is this is totally non-destructive. This is doing nothing to your database or nothing to your actual folder structure. This is just inside the dashboard of WordPress for your organizational purposes only. Okay, continuing on, we need to create a couple more things. First of all, let's go and jump into our pages. Add a new page. We'll call this home page. Hit publish. We're going to add another new page in. We'll call this contact. And you can carry on creating additional pages if you want to. Again, you can organize these if you want. Okay, we're also going to come into the settings section now. We're going to come into reading, set our static home page. I'm going to set that to be our home page. This isn't going to have a blog, but if it did, you could easily set them inside here to show exactly which is going to be your post page. It's save changes. Speaking of posts, let's come into add a new post. Call this sample post 1. We'll pop in a little bit of content, set a featured image, and publish. And we'll repeat that a couple more times. So now what we've done is we've basically set up the very, very foundational parts, the things that we need to be able to start building. But that isn't all we want to do. When we actually want to launch a site, we're going to have a sort of set of tools that are going to be part of our blueprint that we're going to use on every single project. So it makes sense to install them, but maybe not activate them at this point in time. So again, I'm going to keep things super simple, but let's come into plugins. And from there, let's add a new plugin. Obviously, we're going to need some kind of SEO plugin. So SEO Press is my particular tool of choice. We'll install it, but we're not going to activate it. Next up, we want some kind of backup tool to allow us to back up our site, migrate our site, and all those kinds of good things. So again, my tool of choice here is WP Vivid. So let's simply install that. And finally, I use a lot of custom fields and things like that. So we're going to use ACF. I use the Pro version for most of what I do, but the free version should be enough for most use cases. So let's install that. And there we go. So now if we go and take a look at our installed plugins, you can see ACF, SEO Press, and our backup plugin are sat there ready for when we want. Now, I would generally tend to use ACF as part of the setup process. So you may want to create options pages if you're using the Pro version or if you're using Metabox and so on. And then you can use the options pages to handle things like your logo, the address, email addresses, and all those kinds of things are going to be repeated throughout your entire site in various different parts of the site. You're also probably going to want to create things for testimonials, services, those kinds of things. I would generally recommend that you separate those kinds of content from just using normal WordPress posts or pages, whatever you want to do. So let me quickly show you how I do that. Let's activate ACF. Let's come into ACF, and for this example, let's say we want to create a new post type. We'll add a new post type. We'll call this testimonials, a singular. There we go. We'll set it to be hierarchical just because it's a nice, easy way of working. And we'll set advanced configuration inside here. So what do we want to use? Title, that's fine. Editor is fine. Featured image is fine. Custom fields, yep, we want all those good things. Labels we're going to leave as they are. Visibility, come in, you can see we can set an icon inside here and the position. So let's say we want to set this to be position 1 just so you can see it. Let's just use this little symbol by here for the icon we're going to use. Looking good. URLs, if you want to change anything inside here, you can do that. Has an archive, yep, we'll say it has an archive. And we're happy with everything else. So we'll hit Save Changes. There we go. Now we may want to add some additional fields in. So let's say add fields. Testimonials, additional fields. We'll rename this. There we go. So what we're going to do is we want to put a URL in. Put in company URL. There we go. We'll leave everything else as it is there. Everything is set up to connect this to the testimonials. We'll say we're happy with that. Anything else you want to add in, you can do. Hit Save Changes. And we now have our new testimonial section set up right at the top. So now we can come in and add new testimonials as we need them. You see there's our title, the actual content itself, the company URL, which is our custom meta field, and also our featured image. So now we can create any of these that we want, set the ones up that you use on the most regular basis. So like I say, you may have an options page, you may have testimonials or whatever you want. Have those set up and configured, and then when you actually launch your Blueprint site, all those things are going to be in place. Now, there's so much more you could do here, and there's so much more I would do here, but I want to sort of show you the concept and how it all actually works without going into too many details on my particular use case, because it's probably going to be different to yours. But what this demonstrates is that you can set up your Blueprint website. It can be ready to launch with all of those foundational things in place, ready for you to start actually designing the real website without having to go through all this basic remedial work every single time you want to launch a site. So before we close this video down, let's quickly use that blueprint, spin up a new site, just so I can show you how easy it all is. So we're back into InstaWP. Like I said, you can use whatever you want that allows you to clone websites. And all we're going to do is we're going to come out to these 3 dots and we're going to say clone. You can give it a name. You can set it to be a temporary site or reserved site. In this example, we'll set this to be a temporary site. Won't worry about a name. We'll hit clone. And then that's going to use a backup of our blueprint, spin up a new copy on a different domain with everything in place. Now, it's worth mentioning at this point that if you have different pro plugins, themes, and so on that have license keys, they won't necessarily automatically be activated. For example, Bricks does automatically activate. However, certain other ones like Core Framework and so on, you just have to go in and put that serial or license key in again. Doesn't take long, couple of seconds, have a record of them, and you can get up and running super quick time. But the whole process is much quicker. So in under a minute, we have a new site set up. As you can see here, this magical hair. If I go to the magic login, you can see Bricks is installed. Come into our plugin section and install plugins. There's our install plugins, some active, some not active. Come into Bricks, for example, into our templates. You can see there's our Bricks template. There's our template for our header. There's our organization. Come into our media. Again, you can see there's our media organization. Everything is laid out the way we want. Come into our settings, for example, come into reading. You can see there's our static page, home page. You get the idea. Everything is now set up, including our custom testimonials, custom post up with custom meta field applied to it, and everything is in place ready to hit the ground running. Our core framework has all our colors and styling and everything all set up for us. As you can see, we could easily make changes inside here that reflect our entire design because we've set up that theme style and connected it up inside Bricks itself. Hopefully you can see how this could save you an exorbitant amount of time, especially if you were building sites on a regular basis, spinning up copies, or you were just testing things out and you want to test it on a similar test bed each time. You don't want to have to go through and install everything. And you could create multiple different versions of your blueprint with various different iterations, different plugins, different software setups, one for e-commerce, one for normal websites. You get the idea. Hopefully you found this video useful and it's shown you how easy it is to set up your own blueprint website and get up and running in super quick time. All applicable links are in the description down below. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.